Hello YouTube divers, this is WaterEye 122, and I want to welcome you all to another NFL video, specifically another Philadelphia Eagles video here today. What I want to do here today is to just go over the Philadelphia Eagles' amazing regular season. They finished 14-3 on the season. They beat the New York Giants earlier today by a score of 20-13. And going into this game, the Eagles really didn't have anything to play for. They already locked up their spot in the playoffs. They are the number 2 seed. They've already won the division. But at this point, it was just playing for bragging rights. And we sat out all of our starters. Unfortunately, that meant that this guy, Saquon Barkley, was not going to be able to break Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing yards record. He comes up 101 yards short of the record, which is amazing. Last week against Dallas, Barkley became the 9th running back in NFL history to run for over 2,000 yards in a single season. So, right off the bat, congratulations to Saquon Barkley. But another thing, though, this video is just basically going to be talking about the Eagles' regular season and how do I feel about their Super Bowl chances. So, right off the bat, let's get started. So, the last time that I made any sort of Eagles content, that was way back in Week 4 after the Eagles got absolutely embarrassed by Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In that game, after that game, a lot of Eagles fans, including myself, admittedly, were very, very angry because we were getting flashbacks to what happened at the end of last season where the team just did not play like themselves. They were making horrible mistakes on both sides of the ball. Jalen Hurts did not look good. The defense was missing easy textbook fundamental tackles, and the play calling was just less than stellar, to put it as nicely as I possibly can. And it was at that point where we felt like this was deja vu. We felt like this was the deja vu. We already blew a game in Week 2 against the Falcons. Then you have a sort of a rebound game against the New Orleans Saints, and then you get absolutely destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again. And obviously that angered a lot of Eagles fans, including myself. Like, I was really mad after the Eagles lost the game to the Buccaneers. I made a whole video where I ranted about the Eagles back then. I was ranting about Sirianni, ranting about the coordinators, ranting about Jalen Hurts, ranting about the defense, all that stuff. Well, if this finish has taught me anything, it's taught me to never count out your team so early in the season. Because ever since that shellacking that the Eagles have had in Tampa, they have only lost one other game. Isn't that insane? To think that the Eagles started off 2-2 in one of the most frustrating ways that I have ever seen. They come out of the bye week and they end up finishing 14-3. If you would have told me at Week 5 that the Eagles were going to go on this huge win streak and only lose one more game the rest of the season, I would have thought you were nuts. Like, I'm being very frank. But nevertheless, the Eagles went on a 10-game winning streak, which broke the franchise record for most consecutive wins. And then they blew another game to the Commanders, where Jalen Hurts had to exit the game early due to a concussion, and Kenny Pickett came in, and he played good enough to put the Eagles in a position to win. That's all I can say. But Devontae Smith drops a pass that he would usually catch. It was an easy pass over the middle on third down, Eagles were up by 2. They end up kicking a field goal. Then the Commanders go down the field, and of course, we all know what happened there. They end up winning the game in the waning seconds, which honestly doesn't really hurt as much anymore, considering that 2 other teams also fell victim to the Commander comeback, so to speak. um, but at the end of the day, I was definitely not expecting this Eagles team to go on a 10-game win streak following such an embarrassing loss to the Buccaneers. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did because now we're back to where we want to be. We're back to being one of the best teams in the NFC and possibly in the entire league, depending on who you ask. The Eagles defense, major shout out to defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, because what he's done with this defense has just been nothing short of incredible. He took a defense that was one of the worst last season and turned it into literally the best defense in the NFL. They are top 5 in scoring defense. They are top 10 in sacks. And I definitely know they're at least top five in passing defense. The run defense is kind of mid, but then again, we've gotten by. They've stepped up when we need them to. I love how the defense plays. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell are 2 rookies that we drafted this season in this past draft. Our top 2 draft picks have been nothing short of incredible. Cooper DeJean in particular, I love this kid. I freaking love this kid. One of the best rookie safeties in the league, if not the best rookie safety in the league. Bringing back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has proven to be a massive boost for this defense. He was kind of rusty in the early parts of the season, but over the course of the season, he's gotten more comfortable in the system, and he's been playing great for us. Darius Slay, if he can ever stay healthy for more than a quarter per game, he's been pretty good. Isaiah Rodgers as well, out there in the backup cornerback, and as well as Quinion Mitchell. The secondary has massively improved, but I would have to say the area of our defense where I think has improved the most is the linebacking core. Last season, the Eagles' linebacking core was abysmal. But Nakobe Dean had a huge year this season, and Zach Bond, one of our free agent pickups that we got. Oh man. And I can only imagine how even more dangerous this defense would be if Hassan Reddick not been traded to the Jets. And speaking of the Hassan Reddick trade, Bryce Huff. Talk about a disappointing season. But thankfully, the rest of the Eagles' defensive line has done more than enough to has done more than enough to at least get some production. Jalen Carter had a big season. Josh Sweat getting back into vintage form. Brandon Graham in his final season-ish, may possibly, with the Eagles, was very great until he tore that tricep that unfortunately ended his season. Milton Williams also getting in on the fun on occasion. Jordan Davis as well. This team is just in your face. They will punch you in the mouth with every opportunity that they get. And then we get to the offense, led by Kellen Moore. All I have to say is we found the guy who can properly utilize the talent on this offense. He knows how to run this offense. He knows what he's doing. The offensive line, once again, has strength. Obviously, losing Jason Kelsey to retirement hurt. But Cam Jurgens, gotta give him props. He's done a really good job at center. And of course, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, all of those guys, fan-freaking-tastic. I love all of them. The Eagles are just a well-balanced team on the offensive line. Jalen Hurts did not have the best start. But it's like they always say, it is not how you start, it is how you finish. And in every game that Jalen Hurts played up until he got injured in that Commander game, I thought he played very, very efficiently. He didn't play like an MVP. He didn't play like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or anything. But he constantly put the team in great positions to where they could win the games. He didn't turn the ball over a lot. There were a few games here and there where he had an interception, maybe a fumble. But overall, he played turnover-free football, and I got to give him props. He rebounded really nicely. The receivers as well. A.J. Brown goes over 1,000 yards again. Devontae Smith, very close to 1,000 yards. And Jahan Dotson, even though he didn't get a lot of catches, I thought he still played pretty decently at least. Dallas Goedert could never stay healthy, but when he was on the field, he was very productive. That game he had in Week 3 in New Orleans in particular was just a masterclass. Grant Calcaterra was getting in on the fun. Love to see that. And now, the rushing offense. Saquon frickin' Barkley, the crown jewel of the Eagles' offseason moves. It's been nothing short of amazing. I knew right from the get-go that Saquon Barkley was going to have a good season with the Eagles. I didn't care about what the media was saying about, oh, he's washed, oh, he wasn't that great with the Giants. Dude, he played for the Giants. Think about that for a second. They had no offensive line, and they constantly put him in positions to where he was just basically all they had. Like, if you look at that 2022 Giants team that made the playoffs, who do they have on offense outside of Saquon Barkley? I mean, seriously, Daniel Jones had a pretty good season, and I'll admit he did make the most out of the lack of talent he had at skill position players outside of Saquon. But for many years, Barkley was the main center point of the Giants' offense. If you could stop Saquon Barkley, chances are you could very much stop the Giants' offense. Because everyone would be focused on him. But with the Eagles, especially with the development that they've put on their players these past few seasons, he joins an offense where he doesn't have to be the main focus. Because you got two Pro Bowl caliber wide receivers. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, a top 15 to 10 quarterback in the league, who can also run all over you. And you have a top-notch offensive line. Adding Saquon Barkley to the offense, I knew was going to be a cheat code. And he has proven all of the doubters, all of the haters wrong, and just made the Giants look like idiots for sending him to their arch rival. And now look at him. He joins a better ran organization. He joins a multi-dimensional offense. And now look at him. He's a 2,000-yard running back, the 9th in NFL history, and the first running back to do it since Derrick Henry did it back in 2020 with the Tennessee Titans. I love Saquon Barkley. Of course, I'm wearing his jersey today. One of the best Christmas gifts that I ever got. If I'm being totally honest with y'all. Um, and Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, obviously nowhere near the type of running back that Barkley is, but gotta give the man props. He did it. He did what he had to do. Alright, so now with all of that out of the way, how do I think the Eagles' Super Bowl chances are looking like? So the Eagles' wild card game is next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against the Green Bay Packers, a team that the Eagles have already beaten in Week 1 over in Brazil by a final score of 34-29. Green Bay comes into this game after losing to the Chicago Bears on a last-second field goal. Um, and Green Bay just has not looked good these past few weeks, especially against the big boys of the NFC. They got swept by Detroit and Minnesota, and of course they lost to us, and now they just lost to Chicago. Their top corner, Jair Alexander, is going to be out. But the good news is that their quarterback, Jordan Love, might be able to play again. He had a hand injury, elbow/hand injury, in their loss to Chicago. So we'll monitor that and we'll see how that's looking like. But I think the Eagles win over the Packers, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if Green Bay kept this a close game, especially if their offense is able to move the ball against Philly's defense. But in my opinion, I don't really think that Green Bay, in their current state right now, has the defense to stop this Eagles offense. And I think that's what's ultimately going to be the X factor. If Jalen Hurts comes back, can he continue that turnover-free, efficient streak that he was on during that 10-game win streak? And can the defense manage to slow down Green Bay's sneaky good offense? If the Eagles can do both of those things, the Eagles are going to win this game. And call me delusional, I don't care, but Philly might blow them out. I don't know. The Packers obviously were the 7th seed last year, and they went to Dallas and absolutely kicked the Cowboys' butts in Dallas. So obviously, I don't want to look past this Green Bay Packers team. They are a young, hungry team. They're going to come in with a lot of momentum. Well, I don't really know if they have momentum because they just lost to the Bears, but we'll see. It's playoffs. Anything could happen, but I do have the Eagles beating the Packers in what should be a fairly competitive game, because I'm going to say the Eagles win by a score 35-24, I believe. Yeah, I think that sounds good. I think it'll be sort of like what we saw in the Brazil game back in Week 1, where both teams were going back and forth, but ultimately the Eagles come out on top and they move on, and they will get the highest remaining seed left in the playoffs if they beat Green Bay. I think this Eagles team has the potential of winning the Super Bowl, but with how competitive the NFC is this year, anything is possible at this point. So, I mean, obviously you got Minnesota to worry about, you got Detroit to worry about. Heck, maybe even the Bucks can make some noise, or, I mean, heck, maybe even the Packers could do something. Who knows? But all I'm saying is that this Eagles team has the potential to win the Super Bowl, or at the very least, go to the Super Bowl. And I don't think that's delusional, because this team has shown time and time again that they are dangerous no matter who is on the field. We saw that in these last 3 games against divisional opponents. And even though we ended up losing that second game to the Commanders, you just saw how dangerous this Eagles team could possibly be if everyone is clicking on all cylinders. That's a big if. And if the Eagles want to win the Super Bowl, they're gonna have to come into every single game with that mindset that, okay, we're here, let's make some noise, let's go shock the world, so to speak. Um, so yeah, I think the Eagles are capable of winning, or at least going to the Super Bowl, but they might win maybe one, maybe two playoff games. Like I think a lot of Eagles fans think that this team can go to the NFC Championship game. And who knows? With how tough Detroit's looking, I don't even know. We'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, I'm just here to enjoy the ride. Go Birds. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is Water I 122 saying out. Ready to dive in more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.